If there's one brand that's cursed to fail at rebranding, it's Victoria's Secret. How did a billion-dollar lingerie empire turn decades of fantasy into the longest branding and PR crisis known to man, and then somehow manage to make it worse when they tried to fix it?
Victoria's Secret, what have you done? You have made the girlies so mad.
Despite A-list pop icons, supermodels, and some pretty extreme rebranding efforts, it seems they still haven't quite found their brand voice in 2025. How did Victoria's Secret become a masterclass in what not to do with a rebrand? And why does nothing they do seem to work for them?
Was it that hard not to fuck it up?
Hi, my name is Arushi Noor, and I'm your deep dive darling. I like to break down media, arts, and culture through the lens of marketing and communication. First, we need to understand how we got here. Let's rewind.
Victoria's Secret introduces angels. We're not those kind of angels.
Victoria's Secret was founded in 1977 by Roy Raymond after he felt embarrassed buying lingerie for his wife at a department store. The goal of the brand was to provide a sophisticated and elegant shopping experience for male shoppers buying lingerie as gifts for their wives. The brand wouldn't have become what it is today without the insights of his wife, Gay Raymond, who had the vision for the brand to cater to female shoppers. But even she is often just a footnote in the history of Victoria's Secret. As Victoria's Secret filed for bankruptcy in 1982, the company was bought by Leslie Wexner for $1 million. He shifted the target demographic from men to women.
The bra of the future is here today. Angels 2000.
Except, not really. The Victoria's Secret fashion show, starting in 1995 after Les Wexner took over, soon became a cultural phenomenon. The sun is so bright on my face right now. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to edit this. Their budgets hit up to 12 million and the brand's revenues hit billions. The supermodels known as Victoria's Secret Angels, Adriana Lima, Tyra Banks, became household names.
In terms of tall, voluptuous, sexy, really cuddly, beautiful models.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's hot.
It was the start of a golden era for Victoria's Secret, and they grew into a brand that wasn't just selling lingerie, but rather selling aspiration to women and fantasy to men.
Let me tell you, they smell delicious. They are as smooth as alabaster, and actually, for example, if I rub my cheek up and down her leg.
Everybody tell me their favorite workout.
It's mine. I can feel it.
This year we have a $10 million bra.
And it's important to remember the culture of that time. The late 90s and early 2000s were an era where the media was full of body negativity.
Don't like about your body.
I pretty much like everything.
She's in for a rude awakening. Your butt.
Although good, there's not enough of it for me.
Which meant young female shoppers were all the more susceptible to buy products that they thought would help them get one step closer to being more like the globally adored icons that the angels had become. It's the same key with any good marketing strategy. Don't just sell the product, sell the idea. The messaging was clear. You knew exactly what Victoria's Secret was. Wearing Victoria's Secret meant being a sexy woman. Between 2016 and 2018, market share plummeted, with competing brands like Aerie coming into the scene that embraced a wider variety of body sizes and promoted body positivity. Aerie made consumers realize that comfort, body positivity, and a premium product all in one brand was possible. And suddenly, Victoria's Secret's products seemed tired, being headstrong about sticking to their brand image instead of slowly and deliberately pivoting to meet the consumers where they are. VS was setting themselves up for failure. In 2018, Ed Razek, the CMO, told Vogue he wouldn't cast transsexual people or plus-size models because this show is a fantasy. The internet understandably exploded. Within a week, the brand's president resigned. Razek resigned the next year. Stocks dropped 40% in 1 year. It was the beginning of the end. By 2019, Victoria's Secret wasn't just losing money. They were culturally toxic. And to put this in context, 2017-18-ish was when the Me Too movement was at its peak, so there was a cultural shift. In November 2019, the fashion show was officially cancelled. Panic set in, and in an attempt to stay in the game, Victoria's Secret abandoned the entire brand image they cultivated for the last 2 decades.
all of our responsibility to do something to make the world a better place.
Welcome. You're accepted here.
The abrupt shift into diverse messaging and manufactured inclusivity reeked of damage control. And in the height of cancel culture, when every slip up could be a brand's last, Victoria's Secret did too little, too late. In 2021, their VS Collective campaign attempted to swap out the supermodels for a more diverse group. While a great idea in theory, when a brand pushes a certain image for decades and then changes their tune all of a sudden, it's only seen as fake and performative, because the only way to build a brand is brick by brick. And then came this royal disaster. In September 2023, they released the Tour 23 on Prime Video. Not a fashion show, but a 95-minute documentary. It was a debut that could have been an email for a documentary with what message exactly?
And if Victoria's Secret wants to include all kinds of models, that's fine. But like, give them something better to wear. Give them the wings.
CNN called it disjointed and said it doesn't stay on any topic long enough to penetrate its surface. Their take on inclusivity felt performative, but almost mocking. And
I came into this wanting to watch the Victoria's Secret show, just with body diversity and different looking models. I still wanted the glamour. They're only including diversity in a lens that's like quirky, like it can only be in if it's avant-garde and different.
It was trend following, and somehow even more inauthentic than their fake tan Barbie doll models from before. It debuted at New York Fashion Week with all the highbrow models and celebrities in attendance and dressed in Victoria's Secret, but not walking the runway. What they were communicating essentially is that they want to be anything except themselves. And beyond the reception of any specific marketing campaign or documentary, it was a simple matter of people just didn't want to continue supporting a brand that was misogynistic, toxic, often culturally tone deaf, and inauthentic. A New York Times expose in 2020 reported in detail the harassment and misogyny that was happening inside the company culture. They had simply overestimated how forgiving the public would be, and the public had simply grown out of it. Enter Hillary Super, Victoria's Secret's new CEO, poached from Rihanna's Savage X Fenty, a brand that had diversity built into its core identity since launch, with the hopes that she could work the same magic for VS. She diagnosed that the brand had become watered down, trying not to offend anyone, and her solution was return to sexy. They launched the Very Sexy collection with the crotchless bodysuit and harness underwear, and the problem there, it felt like copycat Savage X Fenty again. But Savage X Fenty already exists, and Victoria's Secret once again trying to emulate another competitor, but also amp up the diversity. In October 2024, the Victoria's Secret fashion show finally returned after a 5-year break. They brought back the classic supermodels Tyra Banks, the Hadid sisters, Adriana Lima, but also included first ever trans models like Alex Consani and Valentina Sampaio, plus size models like Ashley Graham, and all the musical performers were female. But the reception? PR experts called it tokenistic, still performative, and muddled.
There wasn't a single thing that I saw that I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. I still was just focused on the bodies. And even though, again, they included a pregnant woman, they included athletes, they included a lot of curve models, ultimately, I was still looking at their bodies. And so there to me is a kind of disconnect.
Okay, so they've been off their game for a few years. They'll be better next year, right? They made the exact same mistakes 2 years in a row. People asked for diversity. Victoria's Secret gave diversity. Why are we still angry? Is the public just impossible to please? Is there something deeper going on? A 2025 academic study called Victoria's Secret textbook woke washing, superficially aligning themselves to woke causes without internal organizational change. The changes they made were reactive, and this decreased consumer trust, and they still haven't been able to build that back. While brands like Aerie and Savage X Fenty were in the same market promoting comfort, promoting sexy for diverse bodies, Victoria's Secret was doing crisis management with their models. The show tried to do everything and ended up doing nothing. because they were trying to please older generations who wanted the nostalgia and younger generations who wanted inclusivity. So the 2025 fashion show seems to have a cast with diversity and inclusion, but also the quote-unquote magic of returning to the classic 2000s designs. But here's the catch. Brands don't exist in a vacuum. Every branding decision is, or at least it should be, with the consideration of the cultural moment. So what is the cultural moment right now?
If you want a traditional wife, then be a traditional man. You cannot ask for stay-at-home wifey privileges if you don't have stay-at-home wifey money.
When my husband turned to me and said he was craving hamburger help, ever since my toddlers saw fruit roll-ups at the store, they've been asking.
We're trad wives. We believe in gender roles in our marriage.
We're in a cultural moment where sexy is political. For one part of the population, sexiness is about feminism, freedom of expression. It's an individual and unique thing. For another more conservative segment, sexiness translates to a shift back into conservative values. It's about the male gaze and a male-centered culture. So in a time like this, leaning into their original idea of sexiness can be interpreted as leaning into the values of that time as well. Given the history of misogyny in this brand, somehow it's not surprising that that's the side they pick, despite their efforts to show they changed. An article on Slate said, to the extent that Victoria's Secret is changing its products to evoke a sexier quality today, it will fit neatly alongside current cultural demands for women to revert to old-fashioned gender roles. The comeback of Y2K fashion and aesthetics, among other things, has also led a younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha population to romanticize the nostalgia of the Victoria's Secret from before.
You know what I miss? When Victoria's Secret pink was the shit.
2000s, 2010s Victoria's Secret was the best, simply because they wanted you to look sexy.
Wanting the lingerie brand to go back to its roots, saying that they should bring back model casting shows and the glitter and sparkle of the 2000 aesthetic. Luckily for Victoria's Secret, this larger push towards traditionalism and the aesthetics around that happened to be the brand's entire DNA. Even with models like Anok Yai and Alex Consani, they are one drop of seemingly authentic representation in decades and decades of conformity and misogyny. So here's the financial reality check for Victoria's Secret. They still never managed to top the 2018 revenue of $8.1 billion. The 2025 forecast is essentially flat. Their market cap is at $2 billion, down from over $4 billion in 2021. And their stocks have dropped 56% year over year by June 2025. So they're not dying, but they're not thriving either. They've stabilized at mediocrity. So, did Victoria's Secret make a comeback? Financially, I mean, they're not bleeding dry anymore. Culturally, I think they had their moment because you cannot fix a fundamentally contradictory brand message with better production value. It's just not possible to serve two opposing audiences and expect either to trust you. As a brand, you have to treat diversity and inclusivity as more than a DEI checkbox to fill. We're in an era where buyers are much more well-informed about the brands and care to align themselves with brand values in order to feel compelled to shop from them. Most importantly, what you have to realize is that Victoria's Secret is trying to go back to a cultural moment that no longer exists. Trying to go back to the roots, it sends a strong message that they didn't learn from their mistakes. But worse than that, it sends the message that all of their attempts to be diverse and inclusive was disingenuous, which is what people have been saying about them all along. It would prove the people right to think that they were being performative. What do you think? Is Victoria's Secret ever going to come into the cultural limelight again? Or do you think their glory days are over for good? Thank you so much for watching. This is Aroshi Noor. And if you enjoy analyzing pop culture, arts, and media, please hit subscribe so you can be the first to watch more videos like this one. And check out these other videos that you might also like. And I'll see you in the next one.
Like and subscribe.